Hi, everybody. Welcome to Celestial You. And here we are here again with Manny. Welcome, Manny.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Lovely to be here. Love your background. Mine's blurry.
Thank you. This is actually my office up here in the loft. So, um, um, yeah, so today I wanted to dedicate this interview to self-love. I know we're going into Cancer season. Self-love. And
Which you know what? It's so interesting because people say, if you can't love yourself, how is anyone gonna love you? But people don't know how to do it. Like people don't know what is self-love, what is loving yourself. Because I really believe the depths to which you can love yourself is only the depths to which you can love another. The depths to which you venture into your own ocean of love. That's the only amount you can do for another.
it's so true. It's so true. And I actually wanted to bring you on because I know that in the twin flame journey, it is times when it feels like nobody else will love you and you just have to go inside and you have to, show self-compassion and you have to heal those wounds because yeah, like there are barriers we have to love. And I feel like this is like a Rumi quote, but but yeah, there are barriers we have to love. And so I was so interested this Cancer season as the sun comes into Cancer, which is, by the way, since we're both Libra risings, this hits the top of our chart. It's a career booster for us because we happen to have the same Libra rising sign. But as Cancer season starts, actually Venus and Mercury are also in the sign of Cancer. And so I wanted to talk about the significations of particularly Venus in Cancer and what Cancer season's basically all about. And so I'll just give like a brief overview and set the tone, and then we can dive right into some of your practices, how you teach your clients self-love, how you personally go about self-love, because a lot of this journey that we're on starts with self-love. Like you said, you can't really love someone else until you've scraped your own soul and all of the depths of you and learn to love the good and the bad. So,
And your twin flame will always reflect where you're not doing that. When you
yeah.
initially meet them, you feel it's like a backward relationship. You feel where you're going to get to, which is the divine part. But then all the triggers come up, and then you're basically healing to go back to that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a unique journey, healing to go back to this. And but yeah, so when I think of Cancer and especially Venus in Cancer, it is about the way in which we create love within our interpersonal relationships. But also, Venus is one of the planets that I look at for self-love. Like if someone comes to me and wants to know how they cultivate more self-love in their life, I'm going to be looking at Venus and I'm going to be looking at the moon. And the reason why we are going to have a new moon in Cancer on July 5th, and Venus will be a part of that new moon. And so
That's
these two planets are key in self-love. We are having the new moon in Cancer on July 5th. Venus is also part of that moon. And so the placements that I look at are the fourth house, which is our inner emotional state. I look at the moon's placement and I look at Venus. And the moon, and we'll kind of go into this a little bit more specifically, but right now I'm just going to say that this is all about supporting the feminine energy and supporting Venus in Cancer could be quite emotional if we don't care for ourselves. So this is really a call for everybody, and for you in particular, and for me, to show people how to focus on self-care, how to care for your emotional state. And this is the warmer weather. This is the summer bounty. This is how we pamper ourselves. You know, there's lots of nourishment available. Venus is all about nourishment. And Cancer is all about the ability to nourish our emotions. So Venus is the worldly cares, the luxuries, and Cancer is the emotional caring, the exchange with people, the closeness, the hugs, the all of these things. And in the summer time, we are more social. We are able to be in contact with more people. But at the same time, it really depends on your own self-love placements, whether that would actually make you feel loved or whether it might take some energy from you. So it's good to know how to care for yourself. Um, so I think this is a lovely opportunity for us to build up to where we can fill our own emotional cup and we can get that warm, fuzzy feeling within our relationships. So with that, I wanted to just kick this off by, you know, because of your experience with twin flames, supporting twin flames, primarily the feminine, you have a lot of experience supporting the feminine part of this journey. What is self-love to you?
To me. So there's so many different ways in which you can do self-love, but the one that I found that works the most effective is the inner child, working with your inner child, which is from Carl Jung, from Western psychology. And do you want me to demonstrate how I do it?
Yeah, I'd love
Yeah,
to.
'cause it's really fun and I like it. And I teach everyone this because I feel like it's completely transformed my life to take me from, feeling anxious to feeling peaceful, from feeling like I needed external attention and validation to go within and love myself. And I've seen that mirrored positively in my twin flame, who's improved succinctively as I've gone along with this. So the way in which you do it, every one of us has an inner child. You can call it your inner spirit, your inner being, your soul, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. But often we don't communicate with our inner child or listen to our inner child. Like, there might be situations or circumstances where our inner child wants us to take some time out or to relax or go to a spa, but we're not doing those things because we're just working with our mind and going to work and then being obsessed and going outside. So with this technique, you just simply close your eyes. And I do it as this is my main meditation technique now. I used to do other meditations, but this is my main. I put some nice music on. I actually like to lay down flat on my bed with pillows because I think it's fun. I don't want to sit cross-legged anymore. I'm not into that. And I lay down and I focus on my heart space. And then I go within and I connect. I may be able to feel, hear, see, or sense that inner part of me. And I build a friendship or a connection. And in the beginning, it took me quite a while. Some people might find it easier to connect with their inner child, but my inner child was scared, didn't trust me, was lonely, was hiding in the corner under the bed, didn't want to come out. So I had to make sure that I built that safe space and that friendship. And then eventually my inner child warmed up to me, trusted me because I had ignored them. And your inner child may be a he, a she, a they, it doesn't matter. So connect with them. I think my inner child was a she, but it sometimes changes. And I connected with that inner child and I basically built a relationship. I hugged my inner child and I listened. The first thing I did was to listen to my inner child. What do they need right now? How do they feel? Because I remember many years ago, every time I had lunch, I would feel a sinking feeling, a depression. And I connected with my inner child, and my inner child told me it was because I was feeling not good enough, not worthy to even eat, if I'm honest with you, not even worthy to have the meal I was eating. So there was a disparity between that, a separation. So connecting with my inner child, listening to what they want, and then either giving that through affirmation or inner hugs, or if my inner child wants to go play outside, maybe, Sometimes I like to splash around in the puddles when it's raining and be a child again, be innocent. I do that. And then the whole world can be created within as you go into this deeper and deeper. And I do an hour in the morning when I wake up, and I do an hour at lunchtime. So I do 2 hours normally. I love it. Some days when I'm really triggered, my twin flame's triggering the hell out of me, I can spend the whole day taking breaks for food and bathroom, but I can do the whole day laying down with some good music. But the twin flame journey, I play detachment, sort of like binaural beats or something, like some music on YouTube that helps me to let go. And then I create a space within. I create a safe space, maybe a playground, maybe a garden, maybe like a room in a house where my inner child feels safe. Because all my life I didn't feel safe and I felt always on alert. And then I started to introduce, as I went along, God or source or the universe into the situation, calling it from above. Because twin flames sometimes make the mistake, and normal, regular spiritual people do as well, where they go up and they get high in their spirituality instead of being grounded. So we invite God into the situation in the heart space, and we basically build a relationship with God. Now, oftentimes we haven't been told that God is always there for us. God is our mother, God is our father, God is, our sister, our brother, our twin flame, our colleague, our boss, our client. God works through everyone. So anything we want actually comes from there within. We don't need to go outside. So we can reparent ourselves with God. So I introduce God to my inner child and allow God to put his healing hands, divine hands surrounding my inner child and just love my inner child. So my inner child has that sense of stability and security always consistently within. And then as you evolve, you may want to invite your twin flames inner child at times or their higher self if you want. I don't always recommend it because it could be chasing, but sometimes you can invite it to heal some aspects or hear some aspects. And you can also work with family members and bring them in. You can bring your parents' higher selves in to get downloads or work with them. You could work on situations when you get triggered, go within. How does your inner child feel? Do they feel anxious, upset? What do they need instead? When did they first feel this way? You can go back to that memory and reprogram that event by giving the affirmations or protection that you needed at that time, which you didn't get, with God with you there as well. And you can heal your entire world. I mean, I have done sessions with a coach where I'd basically go on for an hour and I'd go, visual imagery is very important for me, and I'd go inside of a volcano, which I thought was anger and a lot of fear, but then going inside the volcano and it turns into like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. It's like a scientific lab. And on the screen, you've got God, and then me and my twin flame are there, and we're working together in tandem to heal things and move forwards and do our purpose. So you can create a whole creative narrative within. But generally, I just go within and I just love my inner child. I hug my inner child, and I feel so good when I do it. And as I do it, I feel that my ego dissolves. I get into deeper level of love and peace. And those around me feel that too. They feel the vibration of love. That's what
Yeah,
I do. I like it though. For me, I love
I
it.
really love that. Inner child work is amazing. And I notice too, the people who are super dedicated to spiritual shadow work, inner child work, they are spending, like you said, like there's, it's like you can't overdo this. You can spend
Right.
hours doing this stuff because there's just so many, and it's not just your lifetime. Think about your ancestral wounds that are magnifying, amplifying these issues. And the fact that you're the first one to open that door and go into that room with the child and listen, where like generations have not, so it's like you're on the precipice of a new kind of exploration, really.
It feels good. I remember like there has been times when my twin flame has triggered the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And the only um solace I had was when I just went in and I would spend like literally 10 hours. Sometimes I've had to spend 10 hours. Just go to the toilet, grab a sandwich back and just
Yeah.
lay down. 10 hours. And I just felt transformed afterwards.
Yeah.
That's how I got through it. Because also, we will talk about this later. There is a lot of numbing and addictions that people do. I mean, I could talk about it now if you like, because
Yeah.
often we are disconnected from our own self and we're not listening to ourselves and we are numbing, and then that's being mirrored with our twin flame. And I have like divine feminine say, yeah, but I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's not me. But go deeper into it, right? Are you worrying? Are you stressing? What are your addictions? It could be mental addictions. It could be avoiding situations, not having boundaries with people. And then your twin flame will do the same. They will numb their emotions or their love for you by doing other things because you're not loving yourself. You don't feel worthy of it. So they're doing the same, the mirroring of it, the abandonment, the rejection, all the stuff that they do. It comes from all of that. And then when you go deeper into it, it's not what the twin flame does, it's what it makes you feel. So when I look at my twin flame and he's done something silly, it's not what he's done. When I look at it, do I feel sad? Okay, I feel sad. So he did that thing because he was feeling sad and he wanted attention. So I need to go within me. Where am I feeling sad to heal that? It's not that I'm doing the same as him. It's the feeling that makes you do things. And the masculine will express it differently to the feminine. The feminine will express it in a unique way. And to get to the core of it, you get to the feeling of it, how it made you feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Wow. Yeah, you actually answered some of my other questions in this question, which is great. Are there surprising ways that you've learned to love yourself throughout the years that you never thought, like, that have even surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, the loving yourself, it just goes deeper and deeper because you hear it everywhere. If you don't love yourself, how can you love someone else?
Yeah.
And you just like, what does that mean? And some people think it's like having a well-being hour or going to, buy a
A
nice dress
spa.
or meal, whatever, spa, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It actually is getting to a stage where you're loving yourself in each moment. So what would I do right now? What feels most loving for me? To take out the trash or to take a nap? What feels most loving to me to, work back to back hours or to go out and meet my friends? What feels most loving to me, to have a great meal or to go on a diet? So it's like
Yeah.
those little decisions that we make each day in each moment that drives the actual habit of loving yourself fully.
Yeah. That's so funny. Because I also I'm a Taurus, so I love to feed myself extravagant food. It's one of my love languages of self-love. And actually, oddly enough, when I had gotten a divorce, I was so bereft of love that I didn't want to feed myself. And so that's why I got the revenge bod, but I just wasn't nourishing myself. And so, yeah, that's really interesting. And I love that. So, this idea that, because there are so many ways in which we can meditate and bring our consciousness up, but what are the ways in which we can practice self-love? And that's it. That's exactly it. How do you bring that into your decisions, like your daily decisions? Like, how does this honor me? And you're basically saying you can infuse your life with self-care and self-love of that inner child, of your true, like, what do I really want in this moment? And put yourself first instead of just, ignore, abandon, like how we do.
We really need to learn to be authentic because a lot of us BS ourselves. I'm not like that. I'm not this. But we show to the world a certain image, but behind closed doors, we're different. And we are rejecting aspects of our psyche all the time. And a lot of divine feminines be like, you know what, my masculine's too sexual, he's too this, he's too that, blah, 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 3D. But those are parts of ourselves we're rejecting or loathing or hating or not embracing and integrating. And when we start, they are forced by the divine to polar opposite mirror things that we are completely rejecting. So like a seesaw, if you are going completely into spirituality but denying your sexuality, they will become overtly sexual to be able to balance that. They do it in distorted ways, but eventually it gets healed into its divine form. But we have to learn to like not pretend that we're this saintly saints or nuns sitting on a mountain when we have a lot of stuff within ourselves, and we judge a lot, don't we? Judge whatever we do to others, we're doing to ourselves. So we judge our divine masculine, we reject our divine masculine, we, BS ourselves about them. So we're doing it about us because they are us. And everything, not even just the divine masculine, everything around us is a mirror, it's a projection. So whenever we say anything that is negative or toxic or low vibrational or judgmental about something and someone else, that's a reflection on ourselves. You go really deep into it. So you want to get to a place where you're appreciating and loving everything through the eyes of source. You're seeing things the way God sees things. The flower, the animal, the plant, the human being, the homeless person, the divine masculine, the person who shouted at you in the supermarket, coming to that place of 0 point, which is not reacting, but always being an unconditional love, which transmutes the energy and alchemizes it for that person as well.
Yeah, and I think that grace, that like graciousness that you could walk through life, it comes from like, what you said before, giving yourself the permission to do what and indulge your own self-love first. Like, is this loving to me? Is this decision? Is this action? Do I really want to go grocery shopping? Or do I just want to like order it and like pick it up? Like, I just, not feeling it today or whatever. Honor your feelings if you're feeling
Also,
sensitive.
do I
Yeah.
want to get pissed off at the cashier? Do I want to be annoyed at the driver? Is that worth it? Do I want to hold on to resentment towards my divine masculine? Is that worth it? Because then I'm getting out of alignment. Then I'm leaving my source, my soul, my inner child, and I'm going towards the opposite side of that. I'm getting out of the truth of my soul, which is love.
Yeah.
So whenever I hold on to those negative emotions, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. And that's because I'm out of alignment with the truth, which is love.
Yeah. Yeah. And for many, I think out there who have been used to self-abandoning, it is not, it's not natural to put yourself first. But that training, that self-love training is exactly that. Like, okay, um, whatever anybody else in your family needs, whatever your friends need, whatever your work needs, sometimes you call in sick. Sometimes you just, I have like a grounding blanket and I go under my grounding blanket and I'll just be like, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 hours before my next thing to just not do anything, maybe meditate, maybe cry if I need to cry. Like if something's sad to me, just allow it, hold space for it. And depending on your self-love composition within your chart, which I'll talk about, that might be alone, that might be with your best friend, that might be, it depends for different people, but knowing what really refuels you and like makes you feel better and giving priority to that, just it leaves you with a lot more energy to give to others in the
And
end.
we are taught from a young age not to be selfish. I like the word self-full. So imagine you're on a plane. You must put your own life jacket first before you put it on a child or someone who needs it, right? So in order to kind of really truly love yourself, you have to be self-full. You have to be focused because only then can you actually give it to another.
Yeah, I would agree. So if if you identify that someone is neglecting themselves or overgiving or whatever different ways that you diagnose this, how do you teach them? Like, you did go through the meditation, which I think is amazing, and but how do you approach someone who like, I think a lot of people come in and they're like, I don't even know what really self-love is. And how do I go about doing this? This is the first time I've turned my attention inward. Like, really, I'm just trying to find out who I am. So how do you like walk that person through the exploration of that?
So first of all, how do we identify where they're at? And you do that by looking at their current life situation, whether they're a twin flame or not. Are you going through a lot of depression or sadness, or are you living your dreams? Because when you're in a high vibration of love and you are in a surrendered state, the money's there, the career's there, the life is working out, you're having a great time, you are having a great life. So if your current situation is not great, then that means there's a lack of self-love there. And so I guess initially it would be to understand the current situation, the current status, where the starting point is and where they want to get to. And then an exploration of what are they currently doing? Are they working out? Are they eating well? Are they going on holidays? Are they meeting friends? What is self-care for them? What does self-love? Because it might not be the same for everyone. Like often the divine masculines are going to sit there and chant Om and work with their inner child. They might go for a run. They might meet with friends. They might have deep talks with someone over coffee or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Whatever fills you up with joy, that's what you want to do. Whatever raises your energy and vibration to feel joyful and peaceful and loving. You might be someone who loves like competitions to do with weight training or I don't know, crochet or knitting. I don't know what it is, but whatever makes your heart sing is that's the thing for you. So I guess when someone comes to me, understanding the perception in which they see the world, whether it's spiritual, logical, mathematical, whatever it is, and whatever feels right, and it's baby steps. We can't overwhelm someone and go from 0 to 1,000. There is the need for patience and the need for taking time out. Nature is a beautiful way in which to kind of connect and self-reflect. Also going in the water. You talked about grounding. A lot of people are not in the present. A lot of people are either in the past or the future. So bringing them into the reality of now. And I think when people work with me, because I am quite generally peaceful and loving, they kind of like settle down and start to just open up. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I was thinking about how in the new moon in Cancer, if our viewers have not set up a self-love practice or regimen, that would be a really good time on July 5th. But also, I keep thinking, the other side of Cancer can be quite bitchy, right? And so there are there are indicators that we have not been caring for ourselves. And I think, when you get snappy, Cancer can actually be quite dramatic. And when people are dramatic, I think that is definitely an indicator that they haven't been dealing with their own emotions. So, what do you see like when someone comes up to you quite, wound up and snappy and like, I mean, obviously people don't come to you like that because they're willing to work on themselves, but maybe it's more something you see in folks that aren't initiating coaching with you, but like just in your, family or like your friendships and such. What is like a really good indicator for you? What are symptoms of not caring, not giving yourself enough care?
So someone's health can be a huge indicator, whether they not only are physically healthy, but also mentally. You can tell by their face and their energy, whether they feel relaxed and calm. So when you're a lot of people can feel this when someone walks in the room, if they're not of a good energy, you feel awkward and uncomfortable and on edge. You want to get to a stage where you don't feel on edge by them, but also you don't want to numb out to when you feel those energies so that you are aware of what's going on. So yes, I also believe that we attract everything into our lives. So if I come across someone who is of lower vibration, I go within to check where am I kind of focused on that right now? Where is my energy misplaced and not aligned right now to kind of get into that place? And then coming from a 0 point perspective, How do I deal with those sort of people? I've come to a stage now, being triggered so much by my twin flame that nothing really bothers me. So I'm really able to soothe people into alignment. That's the main thing. You know, you can soothe yourself into alignment, whether you talk to yourself or you listen to positive things when you're not feeling good. It's okay. This will pass. It's not going to last. I'm going
Yeah.
to be fine.
The
I will survive.
self-parenting. Right.
So that compassion and forgiveness is very important because it's okay. Life will be up and down and you will have contrast and others will too. So forgive others, forgive yourself, have compassion, but sometimes you will need boundaries. Because
Yeah.
when you start ascending quite rapidly, especially as a twin flame, people would want to take from you and encroach because they won't want to do their inner work. They will want to bypass the
Yeah.
effort and suck the energy from you. And your twin flame does that too. That's why they end up becoming narcissistic or ego driven as well. And they come in and then go out because they rather not do their inner work because it's hard, it's painful, it's challenging. So they rather just siphon your energy. And people will try to do that. So having your inner masculine where you put the boundary up and you say no, because saying no is loving and saying moving away from the situation if it's too difficult and challenging, having a boundary, rejecting
I I
someone.
want to, I think that's a good point because as you go into Cancer season, because Cancer is about getting your needs met, um, that if you are in a twin flame situation, like noticing those signs that they are siphoning your energy is really important because there are stages within the twin flame journey where they do just full on like bypass any spiritual progress and they'll just like they'll you find yourself getting drained, just not even like you don't even talk to them, you're just like third hand whatever, like you're just doing your life and like why am I so tired, like why do I feel my like these weird emotions. And that can happen in Cancer season, especially if you're in a pattern of codependency. So that's a big thing to watch out for in this season.
It happens a lot in the beginning stages when we're very in our chasing energy, because when we're chasing, we're giving the energy to the twin flame, the divine masculine, and they siphon the energy unknowingly. They don't actually come and vampire it. We're giving it away willingly. So the key is to bring your energy back to yourself, and that takes time to surrender, to trust, have faith, because all the fears come up, all the ego, the mind stuff comes up. So give yourself that grace period to chase and to let it all out. Empty that cup, but eventually you bring it back in through the self-love we've talked about, through listening to stuff about letting go and detaching, to building up your connection with source, God, higher consciousness, where you do come into a place of trust and faith, where you do come into that 5D living, which is of unconditional love, where you are one with everything and not needing of anything anymore. And when you get to that stage, it doesn't matter what your twin flame is doing, whether they're in or out, because you're always connected and
And
you're
you're not
trusting.
overgiving. You're not overgiving. You're just, you're giving, but you're not overgiving. Like there seems to be this thing we do when we want to create value, because that's a judgment we have on ourselves that we need to keep giving and giving, in order to create value. But once you balance that, you're going to find that, and especially in Cancer season, I would challenge folks to do this, that if you find people, even friendships and or close relationships that are imbalanced or codependent or whatever, the reminder is that this is the time for you to recognize that pattern, recognize that this friendship maybe is not giving to you in the same way that you're giving to them. And maybe this will be an epiphany for many people during this time where they kind of recognize, oh, gosh, I need to change the way I interact with this person in my life because I've had many epiphanies of this nature, as a person who just kind of subconsciously heals a lot of people. I have gotten into the habit, one thing I've learned is I get into the habit of asking people when people come for either attention or they come to speak about their problems, but it's more of like that complaining, like kind of siphoning energy. I've pivoted in my interactions with people, and I usually say things like, oh, wow, that sounds really painful. And so what are you thinking about doing about that?
Yeah, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, which is a
Yeah.
total departure from how I used to be, because I used to send like five different options of like what they could do, and then they would take none of them and it would hurt my feelings. So I'm like, why aren't you progressing? And then I realized, no, 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 take your energy back, like keep it within yourself and simply empower the person to solve their own problems.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I learned to do is I would say, you know what? I really, after they voice whatever their resolution is, I would say, you know what? I really believe in you. I think you can do this. I know it's hard. I know I feel what you're saying, but I think you can do this. So I try to like get them to come up with
Empowered, yeah.
and empower them. You know how this
So like
is. You're nodding in approval.
it's almost like, oh, that's bad for you. What are you gonna do? But the divine feminine, it has been for many lifetimes conditioned to sacrifice herself, okay, for others. And sacrificing to help others, and then the divine masculine mirrors that by sacrificing his divinity. So all the things that he does, the sex, drugs, the rock and roll, he is sacrificing his divinity because the divine feminine is sacrificing herself.
Yeah.
And what we have to remember is that everyone has their own direct connection with source, and we are not God for them.
Yeah.
Because they will try to think that we are God because we're of a higher vibration and we're ascending. But like you said, you coach them into tapping into their own connection. And the divine masculine will do it often as well, because when they return, they don't always. So often the divine feminine heals in separation, divine masculine heals in union. Often they return as a blank canvas, open to listen to us, but they see us as God because they're the lower chakras or the higher chakras, and they kind of think we are their God, whereas we have our own connection and we must guide them to connect with God themselves, because otherwise it does become draining on us too.
Yeah. I I think because when you inherently have a lot of wisdom and people come for that wisdom, you sometimes, yeah, I guess there's a little bit of, we get frustrated when people can't see things for themselves and we interject. And I often keep telling myself, my God, like, why can't we just listen? So one of the things that we could practice in Cancer season is being a better listener, and not necessarily, because that is a form of caring, is to hear someone, not let them go on and on about the problem, listen, empathize, show that empathy, and then move the person over to solutionizing if you can. Because I do find that if they are in this pattern of negative, like reinforcement of that issue, then they don't seem to move on to the better part, which is like, hey, there's so many things that could be done. And sitting on your hands and letting people like come up naturally with their own solutions. Um, it's letting go of your ego to do that. Because we kind
You
of
don't need
want
to
to
be a fix.
control, like, yeah, the outcome. We have good intentions, but we're not letting them.
We also have to realize there is a old soul versus new soul paradigm. Twin flames are old souls, gone through it many times. Some of the other people around us are young souls. So they won't get it necessarily the way in which we do, because we've played that game in the Matrix millions of times.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I think those are all like really great themes of Cancer season. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about with self-love before I get into some
Yeah,
of the astrology?
yeah. I think it's very important to follow your joy, do a purpose, have a mission on earth. Because if you're just sitting at home feeling purposeless, feeling without direction, then you're not going to be really thriving in your life. You're going to be bored. You're going to start looking at things and you're going to stagnate. but to expand and grow and see and experience and be in wonder and amazement of life itself is a form of self-love.
Right. I love that too. I think that's interesting that you're saying that because we are Libra rising, you and Cancer is our 10th house, and the 10th house is career. And it's not the career what you do for money, it's the career you do for your soul. And so for us in particular, self-care does a lot of times have to do with um, caring for our uh caring through
Passions.
our life purpose. Yeah, through passion. Exactly. We're very passionate about, and when we're not doing those things, there's just this very sad state of affairs. I remember when I was not in a job where I was passionate about that job or it was causing me issues, I was coming across as quite dramatic. So that's the other side of that. If you don't balance your Cancer, you don't balance your femininity, you don't care for yourself, you're going to come off as dramatic, and people would say, well, we know that you care, but it's like you care too much. So it's that healthy expression of care, which is Cancer, that we can all sort of learn from. I think where the astrology helps is to either provide them mechanisms for self-care during that triggering process, or it's a way in which we can look at the chart to say, well, if this is happening, here's the way that you solve it. Here's your way of coping with this. Here's your way of evolving this. And that's helpful, especially if someone's stuck, like they just keep doing the same pattern.
And it also gives it reassurance when you read their chart, so they understand, it's gonna unfold and it's gonna be fine, and this is what you can do. It's a reassuring mechanism, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, it's like, you're built this way for a reason. And especially when people walk away from my readings, they feel as though they are validated in
Yeah, validated and
approaching
seen.
life may be vastly different. Twin flames are very different than soulmates and other types of unions. It's just, it's like they might feel ostracized. They might feel like they don't belong in so many ways. And reading the chart helps to validate that, and it helps to bring further guidance, further knowledge into their journey, which is, you got to admit, a very strange one, you know?
And one that most people don't understand and think we're crazy. Yeah.
They think we're crazy and they're very judgmental. And I've started actually recently, I've started just like testing out telling certain people just to see what would happen. And it's 95% of people that are like, oh, you should never be with that person ever. Like, what are you doing?
It's like, wait, you like someone who doesn't talk to you and they don't want to be around you and they don't want you?
And there are narcissists. Like, why? Do
Yeah.
you
And they've
just
got all these toxic behaviors and they blocked you, or you had this like divine connection and you saw God in their presence and blah, blah, blah. Like they think you're crazy. People always say to me, were you high when this happened? It's like, no.
It does feel like it, but I think it's just that's why the twin flame community is so important, that we are normalizing that this is a time in history where there are many more twin flames, I think, than ever before. And it is part and parcel to our mission on this earth. So whatever tools we can help people with, we need to do that work because this is not an easy process and people are going to struggle, and we need to, like you and I in particular, because we're Libra rising and we've got this Cancer on the 10th, we need to be able to support this process and hold space for these unique and unusual life experiences, spiritual journeys.
But then you also get quite a lot of people who want to be a twin flame and jump on the bandwagon, and they're in karmic or high level soulmate situations, and or they want to
Yeah,
manifest or find their twin flame.
I definitely have people come to me as a twin flame, but I read their chart and I'm like, uh, your twin seems very pleasant. Like, I don't know about this. I'm just like, hmm. But and they end up being like a soulmate, which I'm just like, look, if you got a soulmate, take it. Like, enjoy your life. Like, you don't have to be in the dregs of society. That's what I tell people, you know. If I had to sign up for this again, I probably would go soulmate because I'm just
But
like,
I talk to people in union and it does get so much better. Like right now, where I am is so much better than where I was last year this time. And where my twin flames at is much better. And I'm sure next year we're going to be even more evolved and more aligned and more peaceful. It is uncharted territory and it is on the periphery, but we are like adventurers going out into the jungle. And I'm sure all the people in Union that I know have been in Union for a long while. It's the most beautiful experience.
good. I'm really glad. Yeah. I have been able to predict a lot of people will come into union. And so it's really nice to see it in the astrology and to see that that's possible for many people who are in doubt of whether this could end up in union. And for those who don't look like they're going to end up with that twin, what typically I find is that on the heels of this journey, they do end up with someone better. And so I just love that I can give people hope.
The thing is it someone better or more easier or more aligned? Because they say the twin flame relationship, there's nothing that can top it once it's healed, right? The unconditional love and the connection and the ascension that you gain, you cannot gain with another. But when in distortion, it's horrific.
Yeah, and I think it's like teasing out whether it's like a twin or whether it's like a karmic relationship, and maybe they're confusing the twin for the karmic. And then right on the heels of that and the healing that they've done, they go in and they get the opportunity for like a soulmate connection, which is beautiful. Because
Yeah.
honestly, that's a pattern that I have seen, that it's not a full-on twin from nose to tail, but it's almost like the karmic part plus the soulmate part. It and it might be a different person, right? It ends up feeling like a twin in the end. Like it's a twin experience, but like with two separate people. So I'm finding all different things that are coming across.
Yeah, and the term twin flame, it's kind of fashionable for some, and it's seen as a thing of like, oh, it's going to be like rainbows and unicorns.
And it
Far from it in the beginning, but it does become it later.
I think that depending on who you are, if you signed up to come into this lifetime and awaken through relationship, which you definitely did, you know, and so have I. I have other placements that make this very faded for me. And so when you come in with that ambition to transform yourself, they can't go easy on you. They gotta like bring the fire. They have to bring
And
the
I think it's beautiful as well because you come as a pair and you're not alone and you're doing your light worker activity or whatever you're doing on Earth in a couple, otherwise you would have been a single person. And they trigger you to help you ascend, and you're doing the same for them energetically. Because the divine masculine is interesting. The divine masculine in his waking life gets triggered by the karmics and those around, right? In the waking life, they get triggered. I mean, they also have visions of you, and you're also assisting them in their 5D, like, come on, do better. But in their sleeping life, we are triggering them. We come in their dreams and we like kind of like are distorted at times, and at times saying, "Come on, fix up, fix up, fix up, little boy." So during waking and sleeping times, they are suffering. Whereas for us, it's more mainly the waking moments when we see what they do that we suffer. But when we sleep, usually, if we have a dream of them, their higher self is very kind. So the divine masculine does suffer too, a lot. They don't
Yeah.
show it though. They're very good at not showing.
Yeah, I think I mean, honestly, it's so otherworldly. I've never experienced anything like this, and it's not all good. It definitely in the beginning, or like in the middle, I suppose, of this journey, it it really challenges you as a person. And I think the most, especially with cancer season coming, the thing that it activates most in you is a sense of compassion, that like we need to find that unconditional love for ourselves and others. I can't tell you what a different person I am at work, even, my day job, where I'm not going to go toe to toe with anyone anymore. I just kind of let things go because I'm like, I see the child that is saying these things. I see past the egos and the issues. And I even sometimes will have recognized within myself that this emotional intelligence has risen so much that I'll be at work and something stressful will happen, and I'll just say, I'm just feeling really stressed right now, and I'm just feeling like I'll like literally tell people in the business corporate world, I'm just like, I'm sorry, but I'm just feeling really like angered at this time. And I'm like, I've never done that before in a corporate setting. And I'm finding myself just saying it, and people just respond with like, okay, oh, all right. Like that's like this person's being honest about what they're, and I ask for time, or I'll ask for like, let's reschedule or whatever. And I never used to allow my emotions to enter a room. And now it's like, no, 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 it's a package deal. Like my emotions need to be considered for this moment, because my emotions are my intelligence. They're my creativity. They're the way that my high self communicates to me. So why would I put them in the back room, in the broom closet with the door shut? So I think it's like getting the courage to allow yourself to fully be present, even if that means that you have to express to people when you're emotional.
I completely agree with whatever you've said, and it sums up the whole interview so beautifully about listening to your emotions and yourself, and um, you get to a place where you transcend all the egoic stuff, and that's the blessing of the journey, actually. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys, I think that's a good place to conclude. Please visit Manny's website. Um, shoot out your website for them.
You can find me on social media with My Spiritual Soul, and my website is manjindersidhu.co.uk.
Okay. So don't be shy. Go over there and work with Manny. He's a pro. And, also just keep in mind that Cancer season is a time that could be for self-love. And I really encourage everybody to enjoy the summer and also just step into, you know, the joy of their own emotions and taking care of their own needs, and just see how your life changes with that.
And I also want to second, if I share this on my channel as well, to go to IDA, because a lot of people have gone to IDA. I've heard lots of good stuff, and you can really help them navigate the journey and the chart and the information that, is so profound. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, go to thecelestialu.com and you'll find all of my links there. And yes, thank you so very much. And take good
Have a
care of
great,
yourselves, everybody.
have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.